Create content that attracts, converts, and keeps your ideal clients. This is Content Sells. Hi, you're listening to the Content Sells podcast, the show all about how to create content to attract, convert, and keep your ideal clients. Welcome to episode 172. I'm Susie Daphnis, and here with me is my co-host, Michelle Falzone. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hey, Susie. Thank you. I am doing really well. How are things going for you?
Things are and have been really, really busy the last few weeks because, no surprise to you, we have been together working on what has turned out to be a really successful marketing campaign that we've run. And we actually think it would be really fun to tell you, our listener, a little bit about it and how we put it together, why we think it worked, and how you might be able to use a similar strategy for one of your promotions.
Absolutely. It has been a busy time, but perhaps not as busy as it might have been, which will be revealed in just a moment as to why that is. And I think what made this campaign so special is that it was really a no-funnel funnel. Now, what on earth do we mean by that? Because you've likely heard us, if you've listened to the show for a while, talk many times about the marketing mountain, which is this idea that you have a specific want at the top of your mountain. That's something you're going to sell. And at the bottom of your mountain is a specific who. That's your ideal client. And then the journey that takes someone from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain is your how. And we talk a lot about how you craft that on this show. And that's very often known as your funnel. It's the steps that you take, one step after the next, after the next. And in some cases, that can look like, say, a Facebook ad, going to a lead magnet and then going to a webinar and then going to an offer that you make on the webinar where somebody signs up via your order form. Or another journey up that mountain, another way you could do a funnel is it could be, say, a free challenge where you give people great value and they experience progress over a period of days or even weeks. And then you make an offer for whatever it is that you're selling at the end of the challenge. Or another way up the mountain, it could look like a special promotion where you put your specific goods and services on sale and people click on the link and they go to your e-commerce site and they purchase. There really are many different ways up the mountain. There are many different funnels that you can create. And, we're often talking about being really deliberate with your funnels. And we're kind of cheating a little bit to call this a no funnel funnel because, of course, there were steps in the process. However, we did keep them to an absolute minimum in terms of both the number of steps and also, Susie, in terms of the work that we did, creating things like landing pages and emails and order forms and all those things you might normally put in a funnel.
Yeah, and normally would be having a series of landing pages and sales pages and thank you pages and videos and copy and, choosing particular images, etc., to work up the funnel. Then there's and that has worked and it works for certain things, but we really didn't want that this time. We really wanted to simplify the process, take the pressure off, but also it was very strategically done because we weren't looking to do a big promotion trying to get 1,000 people into a program. We had a limited capacity. This was going to be a very hands-on experience where Michelle and I would be working very closely with this group of people over the period of time, which we'll talk more about. But we wanted to do something that was low impact in terms of the amount of time it took us to create the funnel. We were both really busy on multiple projects and we wanted to, as I said, make this as minimal as possible, but still very effective. And what we found was that we could do this particular funnel without a single landing page or sales page, no order forms, lengthy email sequences, none of the things that we sometimes do include in our funnels. And in fact, we had just a couple of emails and a very simple application form.
Yeah, and it was really great doing this experiment. Like, how can we do this in as simple a fashion as possible? And how did this no funnel work out? Well, actually, it was pretty fantastic. So let's go back to the beginning and tell you the story of the no funnel and how we were able to generate $40,000 in revenue in just a few days, completely book out our program, and then get more than 50% conversion from that program into people applying for our high ticket offer.
Yeah, and so we're going to revisit those numbers because they're pretty awesome. So we were originally looking for a way to promote our Marketing Success Mastermind. Now, this is our 12-month high-touch marketing program that we run for women business owners, and it gets amazing results. We're just into our 6th year of it, and the program is very high-touch. It includes 24/7 access to me and Michelle and the other masterminders in the group. There are 4 two-day meetings a year. There's a monthly Q&A call. There's weekly check-ins. There's strategy sessions and a whole lot of other perks. And you've heard us talk about it here on the show. We love to tell the stories of our masterminders. And what we found inside that program is that women are getting incredible results. They're quadrupling their business size. They're launching new products and services. They're going from offline to online businesses and doing that very successfully. They're charging more than they ever have before. They've gone from working from one-to-one to working to one-to-many, many, many. And this is a high-ticket offer. But this is also where people can get the most access to me and Michelle and the most support. And what we found since we started the program 6 years ago is that people tend to stay year after year. So there's only ever very few places available, and we haven't marketed the program in a while, but we wanted to get a few more masterminders inside of the program, but we didn't want or need a very complex marketing process.
Yeah, and we had also kept saying, how many times have we had a conversation where we've said, we're talking about marketing the mastermind, and we've said, like, if people could just have an experience of it, it would sell itself. Yes. Like, it's so bloody good. And so, that was really on our minds. Plus, we'd really been thinking a lot about, and I'd been doing some work with a variety of my clients about projects where we'd really deliberately chosen to demonstrate the product. And by that, I mean, it's that old classic show, don't tell. So even when you're delivering a product, how can you demonstrate the product? Or when you're marketing the product, instead of talking about the 6 modules, how do you get inside the program and show people around? Or instead of talking about the level of support that you give, how can the marketing that you do provide outrageous support? So people go, oh my gosh, I'm seeing now what's going to happen when I buy from this person. So all these ideas sort of started swirling around in the creative soup that Susie and I usually create when we meet together. And we started to think, well, okay, how might we do a product demo? So, you can do a product demonstration with software. We've all seen that. You go and get the free trial or the low-cost trial. You check it out, you use it for a while, and then you decide, yes, I'm going to take the annual subscription. And we started to think, could we do that with a mastermind? And if so, how might we do that? What about some kind of trial where people got all the benefits for a limited amount of time? And if you're looking at this idea of demonstrating your product, we have actually, as usual, there's a podcast for that. We have done a podcast on this topic, and that's episode 153, Why and How to Demonstrate Your Product. And we'll put a link to that in today's show notes. But it was this idea of like the mastermind trial. Could this work?
And like Michelle said, we really wanted to demonstrate this experience. What was it like to be part of an incredible mastermind and get all the support and camaraderie and knowledge that comes with our mastermind? And so we originally planned this as a one-day event. We were going to get women into a room physically, in person, and this was the plan that we had last year. But then COVID had other ideas, and we ended up postponing that in-person event a couple of times and decided that we need to rethink it because we knew that these women really needed and wanted this thing, but we couldn't get in person to do it. So we started to think about how we might take it virtual, and it actually has worked so much to our advantage because when we started to dig into that, we understood and realized that we could actually give people more of an experience of the mastermind experience if we could actually add a few elements. One of those elements was taking it from a one-day program to a month-long program, having a Facebook group that was just for those people who are having this experience, just like we have a dedicated Facebook group for our actual mastermind. This was a Facebook group where you could have 24/7 access to me and Michelle and some of the other masterminders. We created the program so that it had a mix of some of the elements of the mastermind. Like there was live training with great worksheets and implementation and accountability. There were Q&A sessions. There were hot seats. There were deep dives into people's businesses where we unlocked something that had been keeping that person very, very stuck in their marketing by showing them some other ways around it. There was masterminding. There was strategy. People actually left the program with a strategic plan of their top marketing campaigns for the next year. But going through the process that we take our masterminders through and work with them over a year, we were able to give people a taste of that and give them something very substantial to leave the program, even though it was over a shorter time frame.
Yeah. And, like you said, we decided on 30 days, which, we wouldn't have got to that place in the first instance when we were first thinking about it as a one-day program. But as can often happen, those curveballs that life throws at you can actually turn out to be, as you said, Susie, to our advantage. Because I really think this 30-day format it gives us the platform to really demonstrate the product for people to have that experience they wouldn't necessarily have, that have a different experience in a one-day event, but over time to actually kind of percolate on things and mull over things and put something in the group today, come back tomorrow and find that 5 other masterminders have given you great ideas. That's the really juicy part of what a mastermind is, and giving it a little more space to fully demonstrate that all those product features and benefits was actually fantastic. And so we also did, just to follow on what you were saying, Susie, we did 3 live sessions, one at the start to kind of kick the 30 days off, one in the middle, and one near the end of the experience. And while that wasn't exactly how we might do it inside the mastermind, we were sort of taking this idea of these intensive 2-day experiences that we give people and bringing them into these sort of smaller, more frequent sessions. So we were still able to get some of that experience happening in the group. We called it the Mastermind Experience. And the great thing about that name is, firstly, it did explain what it is. It's a mastermind. You're going to have an experience of what it's like to be in a mastermind. Because, most masterminds go for 12 months, they're annual. And so by calling it the experience, it was like you're just going to get a taste of it. And the other great thing I think about this name, and generally our whole approach, and if you're listening thinking, I've got a high ticket offer, I might be able to use this, we were overt from the beginning about it being a mastermind trial, that you were coming in to see if you wanted to be in a mastermind on a longer term. And I think that was a piece of secret sauce.
It was, because it was no surprise that we had a mastermind, or that we might be encouraging them to join a mastermind, or that we knew that if they had the experience, they too may be inspired to join a mastermind. And the marketing for this program, we wanted it to be really easy. As I said, Michelle and I would just flat chat with other projects, and it needed to be low. Our team has had a huge year. So remember, we're coming into this sort of in the last sort of quarter of the year. And so our team has had a big year. So we needed to start to just make it very, very simple for us, but also for the people considering it. We didn't want them to be having to traipse through pages and pages of marketing or getting 20,000 emails. So we sent an email that literally said, we're thinking about doing this again. Just hit reply and let me know if you're interested. And it was a very simple text-only sort of email, no flashing lights, no GIFs, no images, that sort of thing. And when someone hit reply, we sent them an email with a link to an application form. And we created this application form online, and you can use something like SurveyMonkey, or you could use Woofu. We used a program called Bucket.io, and it asked them some very simple questions to ascertain if they were a good match for the program. So we were looking for some specific things. Did they have a business? So they had to be in business and have a business. What sort of stage of business were they at? Were they ultimately suitable to join our other mastermind program? And then in recognition of whether they were a yes, a no, or maybe, we sent them a personalised video message. So even though this system was simple, it had some real key touch points, like hitting reply was a personal message that they sent back. The video message was literally me speaking to them about their application and whether it was a good fit for the program or not. And we said yes to people, we said no to people, because it really had to be a good match. And we included a link for them to make their $1,000 payment. So we kept it pretty simple. Here's an email saying, are you interested? You hit reply. If If you say yes, I send you a video and I send you a link to an order form. So we could have possibly done more to follow up with people who wanted a link to the order form and never applied, but we were keeping it simple. Plus, we had an overwhelming response just with the people because, like I said, there was a capacity to how big we were willing to have this program be.
And speaking of capacity, so this is the second year we've done this program. So in the first year, when we did this, we had 20 people sign up and join us for the 30-day mastermind experience. And we had an amazing month together. They created their strategic plans, got clear on their offer, their ideal client avatars. Like there was breakthroughs left and right. And from there, because people could now see in 3D what it was like to be part of a mastermind, we made an invitation to join us in our year-long mastermind. And we had 40% of those people apply to join us. And from there, we accepted a small handful into the year-long program. So like Susie said, we're pretty selective about who gets into the mastermind. We only had a limited number of places, and we had all these applicants that we could choose from to really hand select the people that were right for the program. And we decided it was such a success that we do it again this year at the same time of year to add a few more members to our mastermind. And this time we were even more bowled over by the response. And we sold out literally within just a couple of days. And Susie and I were on the phone on the weekend, like trying to figure out if we could fit more people in because, you know, we were trying to replicate the mastermind. We keep the numbers pretty small in the mastermind, the 12-month experience. So we didn't want to have, 200 people in this. So we had a certain number that we decided would be the cap. We quickly reached that. And then we huddled together on the weekend and made a few more spots available. And then we had to close it off. I think it was the very next day, Susie, with 40 people in the end rushing to join us. And it was the exact same process. In fact, we kind of picked last year's campaign up and just kind of dusted it off and tweaked a few things and sent it off again. So it was the same process, a simple personalized email saying, hey, we're thinking of doing this again. Hit reply. So no sales page. They weren't clicking a link, going to some video and copy-based testimonial heavy sales page. It was just a hit reply. So it was a really soft touch. And then if they hit reply, as Susie said, they were sent the application form. Now, if they filled it in, then we would review them. And then those who were successful, we'd let them know, here you go, here's how you pay. And then if they paid, then they were in.
And there was so much momentum around here. Like Michelle said, we were there on the weekend going, how can we fit more people in? Because we knew how hands-on we were going to be. And so we had to clear our schedules of other commitments so that we could make more time available for these people. And I think that, firstly, when we ran it last year, people had such amazing results. It made it easier, for us to do it the second time around. It was really... Its simplicity was part of its power. Its exclusivity was part of its power. We had an incredible 30 days, which just wrapped up a few days ago as we're recording. And we've now had more than 50% of those people who are doing the mastermind experience apply for our 12-month mastermind. And so we can't take every single one of those people. And so we are now in the process of selecting those that are most suited to the mastermind. And for those who aren't quite ready yet, helping them figure out what their next steps are. And I think that's always really good to do for your customers because they're at different stages, and while you may not be able to help them right now, and we're very clear, we will not, we will encourage people when we see they're on the precipice and perhaps it's just fear holding them back from taking a next step. But if someone's really not ready and they're going to be drowning in an environment, then we won't take them there either. But these are the people who next year, next time you open the doors, they're going to be there saying, hey, you know what, I've done the work now and I'm, a little further along and I'm ready. And the great thing about this process is that we didn't have to really sell the mastermind because they had just had an experience of exactly what it was going to be like being with us in the big mastermind for 12 months. Now, we did say, it's not going to be as intense because, we're not going to be, we won't have this 30-day time limit. But look at what you've created in 30 days. Imagine that over a period of a year with the accountability and the support and the other masterminders. And one of the things that the women love the most was the masterminding, which is always our point, is look at what it's like to do business with, to collaborate with, to learn from, and be supported by an incredible community of women. So we loved it, and it's probably something we'll definitely do again.
It's kind of, I feel like, sometimes you do things and you just kind of captured lightning in a bottle. There were so many things I think that worked. It was the lo-fi marketing. And as you said, I think that works much better than a slick approach for these higher ticket, more exclusive, perhaps, programs that you perhaps need to apply for or qualify for. And so I think that really worked. I think the fact that they really got this period of time, this 30 days to enjoy and learn from each other, which is really the magic of a mastermind. And so I think that's also why we ended up with so many people, firstly, wanting to be part of the mastermind experience to start with. And then secondly, so many of them, 50% of them, and we're not, closed off yet. It's actually gone a bit over that now, I think, wanting to apply to join us for the longer term mastermind. And this kind of no funnel, if you're listening and you're thinking, I don't have a mastermind, it works great, or it could work great for other high ticket offers where you might be inviting people into your inner circle. So whether it's a mastermind, it could be a coaching program or an inner circle mentoring group, or really any high ticket sort of inner circle exclusive offer. And I think that whole lo-fi, like low-tech marketing works better because people feel like a little bit of an insider, like they're getting a little bit of underground access. Like instead of having to go through the formal, normal process, they just get to hit reply and speak to you directly, and then they get the message directly. So a lot of things just worked, and I think they're replicable for other business owners. The key is to demonstrate your ultimate high-ticket offer with the experience you're creating, with the thing you're inviting people to trial. And so be really clear that A, they're trialing the offer, so there's already really clear seeding of the ultimate sale you want to make. In our case, it was Mastermind. And B, having a plan for how and when you will make that offer.
There was one thing that I do love about this campaign, and that is its transparency. And so, like I said, there was no surprise. No one went, what? Susan and Michelle have a mastermind? What? We talked about our masterminders. They were the case studies inside of, every example that we did, not with saying buy my stuff, but because the mastermind works, and we were giving them a trial of it, and we were telling them how others have used the mastermind. We gave them stories of how people who were sitting in their seat the year before, who then joined the mastermind, what they had done with that information. And halfway through this program, we said, you know what, you know that you are getting the experience now. If you already have a sense that you want to join us for the year program, then go ahead and apply now, because we literally do only have a handful of places. And then at around week 3 of the program, we did a survey. And this is something we love to do. It really got us to really understand where people were at in the process, where they felt they were getting stuck, where they needed to focus on next beyond the program. And it was really, I heard someone say, it was very much like doing a little personal development course, because they got to really see where they were holding themselves back or where they were being held back. And we were able to use that information to speak to those sticking points in our conversations about why the mastermind might be a good solution. So then on our final training, we presented the survey results, what they needed help with moving forward, and we also demonstrated how some of those things that they were stuck on, a direct fix for those was the accountability, the leads, the support, the time to work on the business versus in the business, how all those things that they wanted, where the mastermind fit in relation to that, and what of those things the mastermind was a good fix for and what it wasn't a good fix for. Yeah,
and it felt incredibly natural. I think for us, we felt really confident and like we had earned the right to speak about this, because this was kind of what we'd said from the beginning. And it felt really great for our students, for the people in the mastermind experience, because they were curious. They genuinely wanted to know how this all worked and what their next steps might be. And so one of the very last things that we did was we'd been doing these Friday check-ins, which again, we were modeling what we do in our 12-month mastermind, which is a Friday check-in just to see how you're going with your project and just mentally remind yourself, hey, I've got a project, if we get sometimes taken off the track on the bright, shiny objects. So we'd replicated this process inside the mastermind experience, and every Friday in the special Facebook group we'd set up, we'd do a check-in. And so on our last check-in, we really decided, we were clear up front that what we wanted to do in that session was to really spend some time inviting people to share perhaps why they didn't feel, why they were stuck, why they might not want to move forward to Mastermind, what might be holding them back. And by really inviting that, and I think the tendency can be when we have something to sell, we don't want to hear anybody say anything bad. We don't want to hear anybody say any reason why they don't want to be there, because maybe that'll pollute the pond and maybe everybody will think, yeah, I don't have any time either. But actually it's in reverse. If somebody says, hey, I don't have any time for this, and you can recognize that as an objection, what you want to do instead, and this is something that I've had to learn, it feels a little counterintuitive, is to embrace that with open arms and to say, oh, look, hey, so-and-so here is saying she just doesn't feel she has the time for this. So let's just talk about time for a moment. And then that opens the door on us talking about, well, actually, when you have a clear strategy, you're only working on the things that matter. And what we find in the mastermind group is that people come in and they've got 20 different ideas, and actually they really only need 3. And the whole idea of doing less and obsessing and doubling down on the few things that work and rinsing and repeating those and getting better and better at those things is actually the pathway to creating those profitable businesses and those solid marketing funnels. So in a fashion, you're really doing less. You're just focusing on the things that work. And so ultimately, you're actually saving time by knowing what activities to do and what activities not to do. And then we might give an example of somebody in the mastermind group who had that exact experience. She came in, she had 50 things on the go, and that's exactly what we did do, by the way. She had 50 things on the go. And then we had a strategy session with her. We let her know, hey, all this stuff here is just wasting your time. Here's where the gold is. She focused on that and immediately made $50,000. So it is really about finding what those objections are, being really open and welcoming to them, but then also feeling confident to spend time talking about them and helping people overcome those objections so that they no longer are an objection. They go, oh, right, yeah, I thought I didn't have enough time, but seeing as you put it that way, actually, maybe I really should be doing this. And you just want to really create the space for those objections to surface. And that's something we did last year that worked really well. We really wanted to make sure we did it again this year. And ultimately, we want people to join our mastermind, but we want the right people to join. And we don't want the person that's sitting there in the back of the room who would be perfect for mastermind, who would have a massive breakthrough in her life if she could just get over that one objection. We don't want her leaving and not getting this great thing that we know we have that we can help her with. So we really went all out to just help people bring forward their objections. And I think it worked really well.
It did. And, we didn't... Oh, I'd accidentally muted myself. Yeah, we absolutely did. And we did not hold back. We were not at all shy about saying, this is for you. If this is happening in your business, in your life right now, this is for you. And in fact, just on that last opportunity we had to address the whole group, when you know the value that you bring and you don't let people know and you don't invite people and you don't almost insist that they check it out, we're not just leaving money on the table. That wasn't my highest value, never has been. But it was more about leaving that opportunity, that person does not get that opportunity to make that leap in their own business because we didn't push in. We didn't handle the objections. We didn't let them know that we had something that could really, really help them, in earnest. So, it was a very, very powerful experience. We love so much about it. Not only are we welcoming a group of fabulous women into our mastermind and looking forward to working with them over the next 12 months, but there's also, the women for whom it wasn't the right time or for whom it wasn't the right fit right now. I'm just so excited about where they're going to be in 12 months' time as a result of having been part of our mastermind experience. So there is our no funnel. We would love to know how you might use this idea in your business. And like Michelle said, it doesn't have to be with a mastermind at the back end. It could be a coaching program. It could be mentoring. It could be some other high-level initiative. But the key is giving people the experience, really demonstrating what it is that you do and giving them enough to sort of wet their whistle, get them really excited that, oh, okay, yes, I need more of this and I don't want this to go away. So Let us know how you might use this in your business. You can write to us over at the Content Sales Podcast page over on Facebook. If you just looked up Content Sales Podcast, you'll find us. We'd be happy to answer questions and hear from you there as well. Now, just a couple of episodes ago, Michelle, you will remember we had an amazing guest with Ruth Basinski talking about repurposing your content and making more with less. And we've had one of our listeners, the lovely Elizabeth Bond, who has a business called Whirlybird Words. She's a copywriter. She said, "This looks great. I love finding ways, lucrative, time-saving, strategic ways to repurpose." She said, "It's quite creative. I shall have a listen straight away from a master." So thank you, Elizabeth, and I hope you enjoyed that. Do let us know. It is a cracker, as they say, of an episode, and that is episode 170. That's all we have for you for today. We will put any notes and links to anything we've mentioned here today across on our website at herbusiness.com/no-funnel. That's herbusiness.com/no-funnel. And if you haven't already subscribed, you can subscribe to the show right over there on the page, or just head on over to your favorite podcasting app and join us, because we have a brand new episode out every 2 weeks. What have we got coming up, Michelle?
We are going to be talking about the cost of new. And we've touched on this a little bit, even in today's episode, the idea of doing lots and lots of different things. But when you're doing a lot of new things in your business, and you might be thinking, oh, they're talking to me. I love doing new things in my business, it can be really taxing. So when you get that bright, new, shiny idea and you think, I'm going to do a challenge, and now I'm going to do this, and now I'm going to do that. What is it costing you? So while we do want to keep innovating, we want to keep growing, it's also important to realize the cost of doing something new. And we'll be talking about how you evaluate when to do something new, when to double down on what you're already doing. And we'll just be talking a bit more about this philosophy of the idea you don't have to do every new idea that comes into your mind.
I'm really looking forward to that one. I think there will be a lot of listeners who will also be looking forward to that. That's coming out 2 weeks from now. So as I said earlier, be sure to subscribe to get that episode when it drops. Michelle, anything you want to say before we go today?
I really hope that you can use the no-funnel funnel. And if you've been hearing us talking about the mastermind and you think, gosh, this sounds like a program I should be part of, we only open it at certain times throughout the year, but you can always find out about it at herbusinessmastermind.com. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. And there is an option there to join the waitlist, so we can let you know when we're reopening. So do check that out if you're interested, herbusinessmastermind.com.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on the Content Sales Podcast. Bye for now.